Hey friends, welcome to my channel. I hope you are doing very well. It was around 2 years ago that I graduated from the university and I was applying for different jobs. And in one of them, I got an interview, and that was a graduate program in one of the well-known companies. And you know, graduate programs, I don't know how you guys are familiar with it, but usually thousands of people are applying. In that case, it was 5,000 people. And companies usually take 50 people out of those 5,000. And it wasn't very easy to get into that position. It had different layers of interviews, and I think I did it well. I studied and I investigated and I tried to put myself in their shoes to understand what do they need from me in that interview. And I want to share those things with you. Maybe you find it very interesting and maybe you can apply it in your interview and maybe you can get your dream job. You know, there are many different types of interviews based on the position and the company that you are applying. And I could cluster them into 3 groups. First group is the group of interviews which is based on quizzes. Maybe you take an English quiz or statistic or logic or even personality. The second one is a more general interview. They ask more general question. Who are you? Why are you applying to this kind of position? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And the third one is a detailed interview where they can dig into your personality. And that is very important. They usually do that when they want to hire you. But another part of the detailed interview is about your skills and the promises that you have made in your cover letter or CV. And depending on what type of role you're applying, this could differ. If you're applying for a senior role, then they might ask more detailed questions about your skills and abilities. But if you're a junior, they might only ask about your personality and a little bit about your skills and abilities that you have mentioned in your CV. Depending on the position and role that you are applying, it might have all of these interview types or maybe 1 or 2 of them. But now I'm gonna talk about the face-to-face interviews, mainly second and third interview that I mentioned before. Preparing for a job interview is like a puzzle. You need to look at it from different angles to be able to successfully pass that interview. The first angle is the employer's angle. What does it mean? Think about if you were an employer and you had 10 different applicants, which one would you choose? I think usually employers think about your personality. Do you fit with that team? Do you fit with the company's cultures and values? Or do you have the skills that you have promised in your CV or your cover letter? These are the things that they usually want to figure it out. But how do you know that? The thing that you can rely on is a job advertisement. Take that seriously. You need to read that job advertisement carefully. They usually talk about the personality type that they are looking for, the task that you will have, and your role in that position. So learn that by heart before the interview. Understand what do they need. One tip that I can already tell you is writing. Writing is magic. Don't underestimate it. Because when you write stuff down, you can read it, you can reflect on it, you can write your own ideas. Write whatever it's important for the employer and that position down on a paper. The second part of the puzzle is to learn about company's values and purposes, and it's really easy to figure that out. Just search the company's name in the Google and you learn about that company a lot. You can learn what are their values, what are they working for, what do they care about. Is it sustainability? Is it safety? Is it something that you also relate to? Is it some part of their purpose that you care about it or you also think it's very interesting? Try to write that down as well. And another thing that you can think about is the team that you are applying for. Because maybe if you're applying for a program, you don't really know which team that you're joining, but if you're applying for a specific role, you can already know who is the manager, who are the people in that team. Are they very experienced or are they junior people? What are their age? And what kind of project are they working with? What kind of softwares are they using? And these sort of things. Try to write them down and try to increase your information about that position beforehand. The third part of the puzzle is the most important part of the puzzle, and that is nothing but learning about yourself. It's important to do the first part and second part before you do the third part, because in the first part you'll understand what are the personality types they are looking for. In the second one, you learn about the values that company have and what are your values which is in line with that company and that team. And the third part, try to write down all your experiences from the past projects and also your life experiences that can highlight your personality trait, that can talk about you and who you are as a person. It's really important to write it down, because then you can look at it from different angles. Was it something that you did differently in that project? Was it something that you solved that made something different and unique in that project happen? Was it? And if it was, then that is a really good point to mention it in your interview. They usually ask about your experiences in different projects. Usually they ask, what was your biggest failure in that project and how did you turn it to a success? Or what did you do when you had a conflict with your colleague or with your teammate, and how did you solve it and took the next steps? I remember they asked these questions from me. I had a logic, I thought about the logic, how can I frame and answer different questions in the interview. My logic was, I usually start with my opinion or a fact, and then I supported it with different examples, 1 or 2 examples, and then I had a conclusion and what was the result of that action that I did. So the example, I was in a project called Formula Student Project, and in that project, you know, it was my second year of my master's and I just came to Sweden to study my master's, and that team was very international. The guy who I had a conflict with, he came from another continent and I was from another continent. We had completely different culture and different way of approaching things. And of course we had some conflicts in that situation. But we had one thing in common. We wanted to win in that competition. And both of us, we wanted to achieve some results, do the things. So that was a positive part of it. But how did I thought and how did I solve this situation? How I started is that I think listening is very important to build trust between each other. And then I backed it up with the example that I just mentioned, that about the Formula student, that I had this colleague or teammate that we were from different continents, we had different point of views, and of course we had different opinions about stuff. But we had something in common. It's good to mention something positive, even though that experience maybe it was negative. But how did I approach that situation was by trying to listen to him a bit more carefully after a while. Try to understand what is his standpoint. And I was just listening and maybe not judging what he is saying and what he is talking about. And then when I started to listen, he also started to listen to me and my standpoint. And after a while, really that connection and trust came into the play, and we managed to work with each other. And actually, as a result, we built the lightest chassis in that competition. We didn't win the competition, but we built the lightest chassis and we won the design competition of that whole big project. So that was a result part of it. Maybe this wasn't the best example, but I hope it helped you to realize how you can frame and how you can look at different, projects from different angles. But I have several other tips that I wanted to mention in the end of this video. The first thing that I wanted to say is that to be yourself. That's very important. Be confident. Don't be scared of the interview. Of course, it's very expectable that you will have some stress and you will have anxiety. It's fine. Everyone has that, and employers understand that you have a stress, and it's fine. You accept that as stress and try to be yourself. Try to be confident. The second tip I have is smile. Try to talk through smile and try to give this energy to the employer that you are comfortable, you are confident, and it also make yourself feel better, feel comfortable and feel calm. Because if you are very stiff and you don't use your body or you don't smile or you're angry, it always make you feel that you are not good enough. Try to smile and try to accept that it's okay to have stress, and then you will be fine. And in the end, try to show interest. If they talked about their team or presented something for you, listen to them and try to ask some interesting questions. A must that you have to ask a question, but if you ask questions, they will understand that you are interested in the topic, interested in what they are saying, and it usually leaves a good impression. Thank you so much for watching this video so far, and if you like this video, subscribe my channel and look at the latest video I have. Usually it's really interesting. And if you had an interview or if you have any questions, don't hesitate to write in my comment. I will try to answer all your comments. Thank you so much. Have a really nice day. See you later.